We are on.
Well, welcome one and all to the January 2nd Marion County Land Bank Board meeting. We'll start out with flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess you all got your packet there, so we'll go right into administrative business.
I'd like to have let's see, review, discuss any new request. I'd just like to throw on the agenda, if anybody cares to, building prices, land bank. We're talking about buildings all the time. I'd just like to have a 10-minute session of open session of on building prices.
Building prices?
Yeah, building prices today. Metal building prices.
Add that to the end?
Yeah, that'd work.
Okay, Tina, do you want to handle administrator, or you want me to do it?
I don't mind doing it.
Okay.
The first matter would be the reorganization of the Land Bank Board.
Okay, who wants to be chairman for 2024?
Nominate Kent Becker for chair.
Second that.
Wait a minute, let's have some discussion here.
No,
I think Kent's done well, and we're just going to stay there.
exactly.
Okay.
There's my discussion.
There's the discussion.
I move nomination cease.
I think you have
Second. Yeah, no, we can't do
to. You
that.
already have a motion on the floor.
Motion.
I'm sorry, oh, okay.
Is that a motion?
Call a vote.
There was a motion and a second for you to be the chair
Yeah.
for 2024.
Are there any
Under discussion, it's a highly
Priority job.
anxious job. Anyone would like to take over that. If not, I guess I'll accept that, and with that, I'll ask for a vote on that.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I abstain. So 4-1.
All right, did you want to go ahead and select a vice chair for the,
Okay, yeah, we should need a vice chair. I don't even know who's been vice chair.
Randy.
Okay.
You accept that?
Yes, I would.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Randy as vice chair.
Second.
Seconded by Jonah. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
And one abstain. 4-1.
okay. In your packets were the minutes from October 2nd. It's been a little bit.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Jonah makes a motion to approve the October 2nd minutes as written. Is there a second?
Right there.
Oh,
Second.
seconded by Dave Mueller. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5-0.
Thank you.
Land bank letter.
All right, at the last meeting, you all discussed offering the property at 202 South Olive to the Peabody Land Bank. So I have a draft letter in your packet for you, hopefully you've looked at it. I did put
Accept the property.
that the land bank, that our land bank would, the county land bank, would initiate and facilitate the property transfer at no cost to the city land bank. So that's up for whether the board,
Any opposition to that, or any opposition to offering that property in Peabody, to Peabody Land
What
Bank?
kind of costs would we be looking at, max? of
I would say
incurring, or-
probably a couple $100 at the max.
I got no problem with
It is in the floodplain, that's where we tore the house down.
Looks good. Now it shows all the crap to the north.
not, I'll make a motion to initiate that process as long as the pending Peabody Land Bank acceptance.
Second.
Moved by, second by Randy. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
Okay, and if I could get your signature on this letter, then I will
Thank you for
get that
drafting
sent to
that.
them.
Did a much better job than I could have done.
It's mowable now, huh? It says mowable now.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. So we currently have just 2 properties in the Marion County Land Bank, and that has not changed recently. This property on 202 South Olive, and then there's the 6-foot strip out at the county lake. And so, anyway,
To be resolved.
what's that?
That one's being worked on to be resolved.
Yeah, and that's the extent of our property inventory.
Would that be offered on the next tax sale? At 6 session? Or is there too many questions in regard to?
Well, on that property,
It needs to be
there's
tied
a
back.
lot of,
Street.
I'm sorry, the light just went red and then it went green again, and I didn't touch anything, so I don't know why I did that. I got distracted.
Or is that our land in perpetuity?
Red laser.
Well,
Look at the ceiling.
for now, it would make sense for the land bank to retain that and figure out, it needs to go with, because of the way that the houses are built up there, it could only go with one other property that it should go with, because the house is over on the it's encroaching across the property boundary, so.
That ownership or something
Um,
first, right?
There's a planning and zoning issue
Yeah.
that needs to be resolved with that. So for now, we're not doing anything with the property. It's probably just best to
At
let it
some
sit
point,
there.
whenever that's, planning and zoning's been cleaned up, maybe it can be offered to that landowner.
That would be the ideal way to go about it, because it would go with that parcel. Okay. And I believe that was everything.
Also in packet was the dates and times which we had set, so
The resolution.
they're already set.
Yeah, that was done at your October meeting.
Okay. Okay, with that being said, off agenda items, Randy?
I just visited with a person that has the up-to-date prices of steel buildings and things, and so for a steel building, bare bones, no electric, no sewer, no water, just your basic
Subgrade, concrete, and building.
and building with 2 doors and one walk-in door. You can figure $50 a square foot. So, at $50 a square foot, now that's, remember, bare bones. So take your, either your 50 by 100, but if we was to build a new building over here for storage, it would be somewhere probably maybe 80 by 80. So at $50 a square foot.
50 by 100, $250,000.
Yeah, yeah. At that price. Also now, we're gonna talk about if we was to purchase a building that was 50 by 100 and it is finished, go to $150 a square foot. What does that figure up at, Jonah?
3/4.
3/4 made, wasn't it? 3 times, yeah. So, that's if the whole building was completely finished. It depends on the quality of finish.
Right.
Yeah,
So did that $50 a square foot include like insulation?
Insulation, yes.
But it doesn't include HVAC?
No, nothing like that.
No
Nothing.
MEP,
No,
no lights.
no lights,
no
no
MEP.
nothing.
Just a straight shell for you to put stuff in.
Yeah, and it don't make no difference how you conform that building with these modern steel buildings, they can make it fit what you need.
You're not paying extra for rafter
Yeah.
lengths,
Yeah.
because it's steel, the steel.
So that was a learning little lesson this morning that I thought I needed just to pass along, and I think we talked about it the other day and maybe figured out just what's possible out here, what's in the world today, so.
Puts things in perspective.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And I thought that was very interesting that, that bottom building is pretty attainable, but yet you still got to have preparation for what may be inside of it. Restrooms, a floor drain,
Storage racks.
and that stuff, that all stuff costs money. But
The best way, the way we build shells is you just box out. What do you pre-plan for the bathroom to go, and you just box that out, and then the concrete isn't poured there, and then it's left to be dirt right there.
you leave it as dirt there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your mechanical rooms, your bathrooms, just stuff and it's usually preferably on the outer edge of the building somewhere.
Right.
One
So
corner.
you can get
Right.
under
Yes.
the footing and in.
In, or else go ahead and get a pipe up in there or something, just inside there under the footing, so you don't have to dig it.
And then the plumber should be able to get everything right on the mark, because everything is there, your measurements are all there.
Right.
You're not imagining the structure.
Right. Well, that was interesting, and so I just thought I'd pass that along today in our meeting, and that it's quite attainable to do that, so.
If there was just one hurdle out of that.
Well, I'm still going back to our list, just was cross something off our list, that's what I'm shooting at, so.
And from the perspective of people that build stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, my guess is if those costs ever come down, it's gonna take a number of years.
That ain't coming down. You'd have to have a crash.
Something would have to happen.
You'd have to have
Something
people
that-
starving for work in order for it to crash.
If there's any.
Half the cost is labor probably.
Half.
Yeah, that was no windows or nothing, that was just bare bones building with cement floor
Storage.
and storage.
Two garage doors and a walk-in
Two
door.
doors and a walk-in, yeah.
I don't even know if it'd be half. I think building erection on, that's like a 50 by 100 should be around 50 grand. So you're probably looking at 200,000 just material.
So what is
That's
a,
erection, that's not concrete.
like the old farms, the Morton buildings, what do they run now?
They're pretty much getting side by side. They're probably at 250.
I've got a phone
Same.
call into Morton for my personal reasons. And I'm anxious to ask that too, Kent, and see what's,
Because, they come out and put those things up in a week.
Yeah, your concrete, your
Yeah.
concrete cost is your concrete cost. It's still, your base work is still your base work. They have speed on their side, but they have speed to an extent as far as getting the skeleton up, but then it goes really slow when they start putting purlings in. So,
like this property over here, we had it compacted with rock for at least a foot of rock built on top. We compacted all the ground and put a foot of rock in and compacted, but yet it's still 6 inches lower than, or 8 lower than the jail. So that if it was ever built over there, that it would come on up with a pad, would come on up and give us room to,
right materials, screedings,
to,
more
Yeah.
So
contractor
there's
friendly.
rock there now already.
there's rock underneath there, yeah. Mhm. But I don't know if it's, how long it's set, whether time disturbs that, or whether, I don't know, whether it would have to be recompacted or anything, I don't know.
Vegetation, you gotta strip the vegetation.
Yeah, and they're
in order to get
pretty
your
well kept.
compaction back.
Yeah.
A few inches, because that's all vegetated death. I mean, it's not packed. You'll never get a soil compaction test right with it there.
Right. So that's one of my assignments, I've accomplished that one already. That's, for
Nice.
New Year, I thought, well, that was an easy one,
Is that a resolution?
so. Not yet.
You just check that off the list.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
how good I'm doing.
There you go, yeah.
It's a metal,
Yes, metal building, yes.
no wood.
Not wood building, no. But it was sort of neat that also the thing, well, now, to one more price that you can figure on. That is, if you had a building and wanted to go in and depending on what you wanted, if you, more floor drains, more stuff, if you went in a 50 by 100 cement building and had to put new drains in, cut the concrete, do all of that stuff, the cost goes up, but you can figure about $75 a square foot if you own the building, to go in and rejuvenate it. So
remodel.
remodel, yeah. So that was interesting too, if you owned one, that
Get it the way you want it.
to get it the way you wanted it, without too much cutting the floors and that kind of stuff, electricals in the floor, doing everything in the building itself, except for plumbing issues and water issues. So,
Really makes you wonder though when some of that stuff's gonna slow down and some of these contractors are actually looking for work again. Because I mean, it's out of, for the regular homeowner anymore, that has some property, it's almost out of sight and out of mind.
Go to
The building thing.
Go to Wichita. It's just,
yeah.
around the sand pits, it's just crazy with the building.
Line it too.
There was news, what you just said, Kent, you saying out price, it was on the news, it was talking about this, $75,000 family or income.
No way.
Most houses on the market is over what a $75,000
Qualify for it.
income will qualify. So if you're a young person and without education and being a lineman, or linemen may make 75,000, but that's the top of the little. I mean,
Well, they gotta work every storm. And
Yeah,
they can make
that,
They
yeah.
can make some
but
decent money, but if they're just
But that's in our project, our housing market, and we want the young people to buy houses and live in our towns, not just in Marion County, but that's our natural sort of motto, of buy a house and live in it. But in the cities, you rent sometimes more than you buy, but.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting, even in our county, Hillsboro's been pushing for more housing forever, and they need it. But really, the only interest they can get is from the tax credit guys. They're proposing a 24
Yeah.
unit out by a dollar store, but it's all tax credit. So you can qualify people at a lower income to get them in it. But it seems like, except for in the affluent areas, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
3 bedrooms or,
Yeah, they're 2 and 3 bedroom, depending on what you want, what you qualify for. But anymore with like you said, if you're out of a $50,000 income, you qualify under some of those guidelines.
Well, that's all I had, is I just wanted to shoot that through to you, of prices and
I mean, it looks like maybe interest rates may be stabilizing a little bit, but it's gonna be a while before they come down.
6%, 7%, or stabilize around there, or they got higher than that? 8,
Mortgage right now is 7,
7.
so, it takes a lot more money just to qualify. But the big issue is down payment. Back when everything was good, everybody had 100% financing or whatever. That's disappeared. I mean, it's anywhere from 10 to 20% down now. So, even if you're looking at 10% down on a $500,000 home, you have to have a pretty good deposit. And then to qualify off your income on top of that. That's why it's not working.
is there any options we can pull at county level? I mean, at land bank level for housing throughout the county, or? I don't know, I mean.
What's your question?
Is there anything we can do?
how can we help?
Just so I was up at Gregory, South Dakota, right? It's not housing, but the city put in basically 50 by 300 building, divided it off, made bays and then offices. and they put in high-speed internet, and they did all this, and then now they rent them out for $1,000 to $1,500 a month. And
Is that for
they're
business?
they're basically
Businesses?
incubators. So there's kids coming back home to start businesses, but they have the high speed to work all over the world. They have the shop to do whatever creative thing their mind wants to do. And they go. And they were fully rented out last time I was up there. I mean, I had some of that aspect thought in the housing market. Just
Thinking outside the box.
is there something.
That's only a town of 1,500, isn't it?
Right.
So the land bank really can't do that. The county could do that, do something like that. And really the land bank's role would just be to facilitate
Property acquisitions.
the transfer of property, and then while it's being built, it could be tax exempt. That's really
They had,
about the
they
extent
had
I think
private
of
money
what
that,
the land bank can do.
I don't know. I don't know if they got grants. I don't know if they got some seed money. I don't know.
they had an Albert Reimer,
But you know, to South
so
Dakota,
Hillsborough got built.
if you watch TV, they have a lot of incentives for you to move
Oh,
up.
yeah. Yeah.
Lots of them.
Well, not even
They have no
move there.
state, they have no state income tax, they have no food sales tax, they have,
I mean,
they, you know, like Jonah, he can go up there with his Kansas electrical license.
no,
They-
no, no, no.
No?
I had to get a South Dakota one.
Really? How's come they're advertising, we accept your licenses?
They did from Nebraska. They did not accept it from Kansas.
Okay.
Kansas
That's what
lacks,
she advertises, you come here with your license, you're accepted.
Kansas doesn't have a state licensing board.
Oh,
That's the problem.
Okay.
They
Good
rely
news,
on-
bad news, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know,
Kansas needs a state licensing board.
our state needs to do something to help us to be able to do some of those kind of things.
They do with nursing, so that nurses can just pop one to the other.
They just came out this morning that the Kansas is the number 8 on the list of the most move out of states.
Okay,
Eight.
let's go back to your question though, in housing. What can we do? Now, I see in business, Harvey County's doing IR bonds for trailer place. And so.
Is that outside the city limit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's in the city limits now, Newton city limits. I guess they expanded past, I guess they bought some more ground out there. I didn't know that.
Annexed.
Wouldn't the city handle that?
Well, they're working with the city somehow. I don't know exactly what all's,
Jointly.
yeah, doing a jointly deal. And so I just, Jonah bringing it up, I don't know. How could you get some housing in this county? I mean,
We know it's a problem and we should actively try to figure out a solution.
You as a governmental entity can go ahead and create an incentive program. We have to be careful that we cross all the Ts with that, but just like the cities do in new developments, everything from tap fees to a certain tax credit, in terms of just theirs. Okay, because the county, we can only control what we levy. But you could do some things that way. I've created those for a number of cities. Seem to be well received. Depends on the city, but it depends on the
You have
development.
to sell the tax credits before you ever do anything else on those.
No, and by tax credits, I don't mean that type, although I'm familiar in my own situation with the state ones. No, I'm talking about you can do a forgiveness or an abeyance of the county taxes collected in certain ways. It's like the cities have. Halstead did it, for example, in terms of trying to rework parts of the hospital after it was closed down.
That's still a county commission. Okay. Just making sure.
Regardless of what program you try to go for, it would the county commission would have to be
Yeah.
the ones to do.
Yep.
And the
land
most
would
flexibility,
facilitate it.
just the way that the land
The
bank can
holding.
facilitate it would be holding the property. The city of Peabody is like this Peabody Land Bank is trying to work on housing in Peabody. And so some of this is like being researched right now, but the most flexibility seems to be, because I've consulted with David Arterberry and Scott Lloyd, and they're gonna get some input too from another agency. But the economic development programs and grants are the most flexible, you know, and right now we're not really participating in any of that. But that's just about the best way to do a project is to try to look for some of those kind of funds because they're the most flexible. Because all municipalities and the county, like, we're public agencies, and so we're subject to the cash basis law and budgeting, and we can't get a construction loan, so to speak. We're held to lease purchases. I mean, you can issue bonds for certain things, but in most cases for the county, that's gonna create an election. You know, the most flexibility is through economic development programs, and so those, there are some programs out there, but it's pretty intensive to try to.
Currently, one of the ones
Get
that's the
those.
most popular is Department of Commerce, has one that they continue to renew. Besides all these other HEAL grants and those kinds of things, in the rural housing, they have one that is sponsored by the governmental entities. So for example, if someone was building a number of homes in the county and they serve as their own developer, we would sponsor that. And they receive funds. Sedgwick, we did one successfully 2 years ago, and he was very good at assisting in writing his own grant. And it was a Department of Commerce grant, and he went ahead and put in called the Red Barn Edition in Sedgwick, and his dad owned a business that was a big red barn, and they went ahead and changed that over to 6 lots and a cul-de-sac. It's a small kind of a project, but boy, he has tapped into that. He got virtually all of the funds necessary to do the infrastructure extension so that the city wasn't having to do the specials. And then he got into second round. All of these were 6-figure kinds of assistance to him to give $20,000 down payments to these 5 property owners at a minimum, and then he had some other things. He spread some of the funds over. So basically, by the time you bought that house, you had, you know, you didn't have specials, and you had a significant equity position in it just from the get-go. But that had to be sponsored by the city, and the county could do the same thing, as I understand it, because I've inquired about that one, and it's still alive and well. They are annually, they're limited in terms of, I mean, they'll only assess so much for that purpose, but that's something to look at.
I didn't follow the one here in Marion too much where they're gotta live there 5 to 10 years in that house, and then they get a break or something. That's the city of Marion had something like
City?
that. But,
Senate?
the one that,
I thought that was a city incentive that they created.
is that a city incentive? Okay.
I
don't know.
I didn't
But I
follow.
know that that's what the
With
plan
the
is.
city somehow.
Yeah. And then the other one that I would cost, from what I'm seeing on CDO, not CDDO.
Mid-cap?
Down there is where they're having somebody, an investor, but he owns 51% of it, and that's what's happening over in Hillsborough right now. And if they're not rented, if they're not, you know, if they're not in there, why, somebody, that plan that we're following up in that group is, I don't know, it's a little different. And like, guarantee the city's got to have the water on. You can't shut the water off. You can't over there when it's not rented. I mean, to save, you got to pay the city water bills because they give an incentive for that. And so, anyway, I don't know that I would go that way with if I was trying to look for a good plan, because we're paying him no matter what, that 51%.
Another one that was really successful in, who did that? Sedgwick. That was hot and heavy for a few years, not so much now, but it's still there. A developer comes in, builds an entire kind of a development, either patio homes or these forms of duplexes. It's really, really geared toward getting people who are elderly or getting there, who want to get out of their house, freeing up a lot of housing in the area by them moving into one of these. And it was rent controlled for the first 15 years. Now it's privately held, and they sold it off after the 15. But what they got out of it were exactly, Kent, what you were referring to, some massive tax credits that they sold, I believe, at 91 cents on the dollar. And there are large companies everywhere that seem to want to buy those these days if they're successful. And they had no issue disposing of those, and they made money.
And then that frees up for the younger.
Yeah, then a lot of the
generation
housing in
to
the
buy
area.
That $50,000 house,
Yeah,
that
that makes a lot
$100,000
of
house.
sense.
Right now, millennials are priced out. It's just not happening for them.
Millennials can barely make it, but the Gen Zers can.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're ever gonna do it.
Well, it's good food for thought.
Yeah.
I guess if we ever see anything that we think we could pursue, we shouldn't sit on our hands, I
We
guess.
should ask the commission to entertain those thoughts.
Any other discussion? If not, I guess our next meeting is scheduled for what, April? April 1st, 11:30, so.
Oh,
With that,
that was just a joke. It's
I'll
not.
move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Randy beat me to the second, just FYI.
So where before the guest had to speak and then.
I believe everything is on.
All right, let's do the flags.
I'm good.
3 seconds.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We welcome everybody to the January 2nd Marion County Commission meeting, the first meeting of 2024. So we're off to a good start. So yesterday's been the best day of the year so far, so let's hope it just keeps getting better every day. Let's start with the public forum. There's nobody in the room for public forum. And nobody
I don't have anyone registered online for public comments.
Okay.
Do you want to ask them if they want to pre-register?
Okay, if there's someone online that wishes to make comments, unmute your microphone, state your name.
Assuming that's short-term loans.
But they're not unmuting their microphone.
No, I don't think we have anyone.
All right, with that, we'll move into agenda approval. First, we're very fortunate to have Representative Hill, so we will move him to the 12:30 slot. Any other additions from other commissioners? Okay, I would like to add a section at the end to discuss asphalt overlay. Okay, if there's nothing else, agenda is approved. We'll move admin to the end. Representative Hill, if you'd like to join us at the table, we are very
Can I sit here?
special seat. Used to be the hot seat,
The hot seat, huh?
but
Well-
we welcome you here. We appreciate your interest, and thank you for coming to visit with us today.
It is my pleasure. Yeah, and it's good to see you guys all again. It's always fun to come down to Marion County. And I wish, I was driving around town today and I saw this really nice house over there on Elm for sale. It's like, wow, I could live right here in Marion County. But no, we are just about ready to start into the legislative session. I mentioned earlier that it'll be a week from today when we start. And of course, there's always a lot of competing interests of things that will get brought up. This is my second year at it, so it's not quite like dodging missiles. I thought that last year that's kind of was you don't know what's going to come next. But we have our leadership is very interested in property tax reduction this year, which I'm excited about because when you get into rural Kansas, western Kansas, central Kansas, property tax reduction is really the best way to help out people's bottom line. And we had some pretty rough bottom lines in our farm community this last year. And so it's kind of nice to have something good to say for our agriculture people because it was a pretty rough year. It's kind of nice, you know, as I drive around and I see all the wheat looks as good as it's looked in several years, and so it's starting to get a little bit more hope, but, you guys were right in the middle of the drought down here, and Dickinson County got hit really hard too, and we saw a lot of soybeans bailed up, a lot of soybeans zeroed out.
Corn stalks.
Yep. And so it was a rough year, and that reflects into what you guys do, and as far as, you know, tax receipts and that kind of thing make a little bit of difference, but the property tax is always there. And so there's talk about reducing the mill levy. And you guys probably know this because you're more educated than the general public, but the only mill levy that the legislature really has any authority over is the statewide mill levy. So the statewide school tax and there's also a statewide tax for the regent system. And so there's talk about eliminating that tax and replacing it with sales and income tax. And then there's also talk about reducing the 33 mills that the school districts have and replacing that with sales and income tax as well. Because the good news is in the state government, we're sitting there with a bundle of cash. We don't know exactly what it is right now, but we know it's over $4 billion that's sitting there. And when you start to think about a state that has 3 million people with $4 billion sitting there, that's over $1,000 for every man, woman, and child in the state that's sitting in reserve right now. And so a lot of money. We like to keep some money in reserve, but we also know that if there's just money sitting around up there, it tends to get spent. And I kind of liken it to a recovering alcoholic that's stocking his liquor cabinet. And as the legislature, we're kind of recovering alcoholics on our spending binges sometimes. And having money sitting around is kind of a dangerous thing. I think last year we had a project that got approved for you guys on
Roads.
roads, is that correct?
Just a quick update.
Yeah.
Our major project we've been focusing on as far as state grants was 290th between Lincolnville and Durham.
Right.
Which was mainly because it's an access point to Pilsen, Father Capon, hometown. We did get approved on the KDOT economic development for the east 5 miles. We just opened bids last week. Very, very attractive bids.
Okay.
We're very fortunate. There's asphalt plants in the county next year, and of course prices are more attractive. So we were very, very pleased with the results of that bid. That project will be done this summer. The west end of the project, we got a high-risk rural roads grant. It's hard to keep all these acronyms because we're trying to pull from several different pots. So that's a high-risk rural road for about the west 5-6 miles, widening bridge structures, getting rid of the dangerous concrete banisters. So that's mainly dirt road improvement, not the surfacing. So we've still got 3 more phases. We've applied for the 3rd phase twice. We were rejected in November. And I can send you updates.
Okay.
On this.
Yeah.
So we're going to be applying again for phase 3 on that project. So we're going to keep chipping away at getting it. But we've been assured by the state that that's the route to go, is to keep applying to all these different pots and try to get that project completed. So that's kind of a quick update on where we are. So we've had 2 successes, we've had 2 failures, so 50-50, that's a pretty good batting average.
Yeah, you're doing good. And there continues to be infrastructure type money that's coming down from the federal government. And so those there's really quite a lot of that. So keep applying for it. And I'll do anything, as far as letters or anything, I'd be glad to help you out.
We were fortunate, they allow the letters of support to go over a year. So,
Carry them over.
so we were able to carry all of the letters from the first application into the second application, and of course both of them failed. So we'll get new ones for the 3rd application, and 3rd time should be the charm, we hope.
That sounds good.
So we'll be back in contact on a fresh letter of support.
Something that we run into a little bit of discussion, and I've gone to meetings with the Kansas Water Authority, and of course there was some talk, and I don't know if you guys got any correspondence on this, but there were some people worried about the lake up here, or the reservoir. I did quite a little checking on that. I feel fairly comfortable on what's going on there. In fact, I think in some ways it may result in a more stable water storage there than if Wolf Creek hadn't have locked some of that water up. And you guys probably are aware of this, but Wolf Creek needed to lock up some extra water because Redmond down there next to them, which is their primary water supply, is silting in.
Commissioner Becker's kind of been taking the
Okay.
lead on that one.
Are your people fairly comfortable with it now? I haven't heard any letters for a while,
I
but
don't hear much. It was kind of interesting though. This fall I was out at the lake, and I was on the boat ramp out there, and this guy pulled in with a big boat that wasn't sitting quite right on his trailer, so he just pulled in off the highway so he could back it in the water. He happened to be the head of the Corps at Redmond.
yep. Well, that's the,
You know?
yeah.
And I didn't even bring it up. I told him I was a county commissioner. He says, well, you know about the water situation then. I said, yeah, it looks like you own part of this reservoir. And he said, well, that's the way I understand it. He said, you know, whether anything comes of it or not, but they do have the authority
They do. Yeah.
for up to a third.
Yeah.
And I said, that's the part that scares me, because a third of this reservoir gone could even impact Hillsborough and Peabody water.
It won't.
I mean, the way I found out from Hillsborough, though, it sounds like they've got the infrastructure set up enough to where it shouldn't impact it.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Plus, just the recreational aspect of you know, if they did that, it'd probably dry up the camping and everything else. Who's going to come out there?
And I believe, from what I've discussed, and I've talked with them down there, and I've talked to the water authority, and everything I can come up with on it is the likelihood of them using that water is like a 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 year drought. So it's not something that they're gonna rely on the reservoir water to replenish down there.
And, you know, it's not that bothered me so much, it was how it was handled.
Yeah.
There was no public notice.
I agree.
No anything. They just got together and voted. Mm-hmm. You know, and it seems like that parliamentary-wise, it wasn't handled correctly. Because the meeting was in McPherson. I never knew anything about it.
Yeah, and it was a Kansas Water Authority
Resources.
meeting.
Right.
And I happened to be at that meeting, the first one anyway, when they were doing the preliminary. I happened to be there, so I kind of was aware of it a little bit from there. But they didn't advertise anything local. They didn't do any hearings. It would have been, and that's what I tried to get Wolf Creek to come out and do a community meeting and just tell people what's going on there, because I really believe it's more a regulatory thing than it is that they're really after the water. When they renew their regulatory license, they have to have a certain quantity of water available in case of an emergency. And the silt in down there is what's causing them the problem. But I would say this, on the reservoir out here, and you look at Kansas water law, and the way Kansas water law is written, if there is available water, and if you have a beneficial use for it, they really can't deny the allocation of that water. And there was a lot of available water out here.
Yeah. And I know there's been talk over the years of forming a irrigation district. Does that sound right?
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Then they would have to contract.
Because there is quite a bit of irrigation above the reservoir.
Right. And if you can show a beneficial use, and you can show that water is available, the way Kansas law is written, they basically have to grant it. And so, in one instance, the fact that Wolf Creek's got a boatload of water tied up there, it makes it harder for somebody to come in and say, well, I'm gonna put in a manufacturing plant at Cottonwood Falls or someplace. And take some of that water, because by law, they could probably do it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, probably a deal that came out on this, though, that's kind of interesting is the other branch goes up to Council Grove. And so that lake was more highly appropriated already than Marion. And so that's why they went after Marion, but it does get this deal where you're kind of pitting one reservoir against another one, because I agree with you absolutely, Kent, that the recreation thing's important.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I've had a lot of people tell me it's not just Wolf Creek. They're putting in a big chip plant down there.
Well,
That thing's gonna take tons of water, so I don't know.
but they have not requested water yet from it. I mean, but that's a possibility, yeah.
This is all Wolf Creek's contingency.
Yep.
Yeah, I think under the state plan, but somebody said, well, there's an underlying factor there, this big chip manufacturer.
And you could have that happen. I mean, it could happen that some plant could go in and want some of that unallocated water, because you have a big pool up here. And it really shows up in this year when you don't have any runoff. And that's why people were getting upset, because the lake level was
I'm not
low.
sure how far we're down, 6 feet or something here.
Yeah.
6 feet doesn't sound like a lot, but it's huge out of here.
Yeah, 8 feet is.
8 feet?
8 feet is where you see just the riverbed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
I know for boaters out there, you have to be really careful out there right now.
Kind of another little deal on water, well, it's open, is that, you know, Marion really needs a treatment plant, and I've been encouraging them to apply for some of the infrastructure money to put in a treatment plant. One of the things that was brought up to me when I was talking about that is that Hillsborough already has capacity to handle countywide. And I'm sure the Water Authority would look on that very favorably if there was a joint project there. So I know gets to be kind of tender thing to talk about, but it would be good to see a joint treatment
It
plant.
would also guarantee more water out here.
Yeah.
No,
Having that.
Marion already has their own allocation. Hillsborough has theirs and Peabody has theirs. That's what led up to the problem to begin with, is because all the cities had an allocation purchased. That's only so much water. Then the irrigation district would have created another allocation, and then there'd only be this much available. So you gotta get all that water bought, and Kansas holds all the rights to the sales of the water.
And it's important to remember that it's a first-in-time priority in Kansas. So, I mean, the city water, and actually Marion's water just got reapproved. Marion's got a boatload of water. I mean, probably 3 times of what they ever will use here. So they have a tremendous amount of water. The Water Authority, I was there when they were discussing that, and the Water Authority said, yeah, that's way more water than they need. But the idea has always been that it's there in case of expansion in the city. So they went ahead and approved the major allocation again for Marion. So the water's there, but the water treatment, Marion always runs into problems with the algae bloom, and it would be good to have a water treatment that would eliminate some of that. So I've taken quite a lot of time. Are
There's
there
one
other questions?
We've still got another 10 minutes, but one I would like to hit on, I know all the commissioners like to hit on, is the local ad valorem property
Sure.
tax
Yep.
reduction, which for Marion County is huge.
Yep.
Estimates in the ballpark of $600,000. That's 3.5 mills for Marion County. I wasn't at the conference meeting, the other 4 were, but they got updates on just how important that is to counties across the state, and hopefully there's gonna be a push this year.
I think there will be, and I don't know what form that's gonna take yet
Right.
at this, but there's, I mean, tax reduction is gonna be the theme, I believe, of this legislative session. Yeah, Randy.
Sort of hurt my feelings.
Oh, okay.
You talking about how much money you got sitting there. I happened to be started in this position here a number of years ago, and we still had the LABTR coming in, and then it all went away, and so now you guys got some money.
Oh, yeah.
We'd like to see you divvy it out, and I don't, the idea, when we was at the meeting the other day, there was a letter from a Representative Miller.
Vic Miller,
Vic
yep.
Miller, yes. And so he had a pretty good plan on that, I thought, but there was some loopholes there, but I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't, and I'm trying to remember exactly how that all works, but he wants to focus it all on housing.
Housing, I think.
And no ag land or.
Oh, it's on housing only, huh?
Yeah, housing only, and, which I can't support. But Vic's bringing it to the table.
Somebody needs to get behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe separate a little bit, I don't mind that, but somebody needs to get some of it back here, where all these counties can use it, instead of having to be so careful on what we do. And you said you'd like to have a little extra money? We like to have a little extra money, we don't have them up, but they're right there, the whiteboards, because when one of them things on our whiteboard over there, which is projects, that comes up the Marion Dam,
Yep.
the reservoir, the county lake out here, we'd like to have some money to work on it. The other thing that you just mentioned is.
Did you get the rock pretty well put in on
Yes,
the?
thank you for your support on that.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
The dam repair has been completed, and now we've got time to move on to the secondary issue that they were using to hold up the repair.
That was a great example,
Thank you.
by the way, and I don't have, there's not much credit to me on that, but that was a great example of being able to get some people in a room and talk and go, oh, well, there's no reason this can't be done. So anyway, yeah, go ahead, Randy.
The other thing is water treatment. Don't forget about the people that Hillsborough and Marion may serve out there, because Peabody's 16 miles or so from Hillsborough.
Right.
Time we get our water, it's all right when it gets to the tower, but when it's us people that lives on the far south end of town, we don't have full loops. We don't have things that circulates, and down in the south end of town down there, that water gets sort of rank.
Okay.
Infrastructure. You know, it's infrastructure that we need. And
Is it the quantity of water that gets down there?
No, it's the water. It's setting too long for a small town. It sets too long from the time it leaves.
Okay.
You know, time it makes the trip to Peabody. It's a number of days before, maybe a day and a half, two, depends on the time of year. And then when it gets down into the Peabody, if you're not on the main loop, you get some ugly water. And so there's some good things about the plants, but there's some things that they feed that needs a little help too with that. So I'm done. Somebody else.
Well, I would really like to see a countywide approach to the water situation here, and I know those are maybe kind of fighting words in Marion, but I really think that makes sense, and whatever protections need to be put in for. But I mean, just like that deal needs to be brought up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I talked to Burns here, Burns City Commission the other day. That's a great adventure. But, you know, it's great, but they're not really, they're happy with their water, and probably for them, if they were gonna go with anybody, it would make sense to go south, yeah. So anyway, okay, other questions that I can answer?
Sticking to water, you know, I don't know the situation with the rural districts in central part of the county and the south part of the county. But rural water district number 1, it feeds all of northern Marion County and up into Dickinson County. You know, the rural water districts didn't get any COVID money. And we just received a letter. They had to have their wells cleaned or whatever. The company sent us all a letter saying that's on the Ogallala. Water District number 1 comes out of the Ogallala Aquifer, which comes right up to the Marion-McPherson County line.
Okay.
They said that it was at 6 feet, 5 or 6.
I think it's down about 6. I was chairman of that district for about 20 years.
Okay.
But there's a little finger of the Ogallala comes down. So the recharge is a little smaller than the big pool out west. But it's phenomenal water, but the problem is it's so soft it breeds an iron bacteria, manganese.
Okay,
So
yeah.
there's a treatment process, a cleaning process has to be done on a regular basis to keep the screens from plugging up so we can have capacity. But yes, the water
There's
level.
water in the county, other than Florence.
Yeah, you don't wanna argue there.
You know, they're in a situation where they're probably gonna need to drill another well soon.
The problem is the well field, you get outside of about a mile radius, and you've got the water district, you got the city of Durham, you got the city of Lehigh, all pulling out of one little pool.
Is that
You
the,
get outside of it and the water quality just,
Plus, there isn't any water.
is that the water district that serves, over in McPherson County too?
no.
That's a different one.
It goes up into Dickinson a little
It
bit.
goes to
Goes
Dickinson.
to Dickinson, but it's,
First, there's a Little Roxbury, it comes a
Yeah.
little bit into Marion County. They've just got some major funding
right, they
for
did.
work over there, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's gonna assist Marion County in that corner, because the elevation was too high for Marion One to serve.
They'll be able to accept some hook-ons.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's a concern for Marion One, absolutely.
Where are those wells at then, Kent?
They're, from Lehigh, they're north about 6 miles?
6, 7
6
miles.
to
6 or
7.
7 miles, right inside Marion County.
Okay.
Yep.
And how many,
Next mile over, you're in McPherson County.
how many wells are there?
4. Actually, there were 5, one was abandoned.
Okay.
Because there's also a depth issue, you get a little too deep, you get into a different quality.
Right, yeah.
It's been a long time. I used to have to go out and work on those.
Oh, yeah.
Are they fairly stable, being in Ogallala, are they?
Well, that's what Kent was saying, that they have, with this drought, dropped 6 feet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not been replenished.
And being there's not much water out in that part of the county and the quality is terrible, it's serving even feedlots.
Yeah.
So of my place, I have no water, other than the rural water district. 3 pastures this year with the ponds dry, I've got water meters. So that's my water. I mean, I don't have any well water. There's none there.
Wow. Well, and it's, I think, you know, the water plan we put into place last year, you know, cross our fingers on it, but hopefully that's gonna help the Ogallala out as a general rule. Because the plan is, to focus a lot more on conservation out west, to maintain or start to see some increase in the level of the Ogallala, because that's getting a lot of attention right now. And there is state money that's going into that. And that, there may be some grants on that too, I'm not sure where that money's all going to. I know a lot of it's going to conservation, but we put money in there last year, and I'm sure they're gonna be back for more money this year. And that's,
Critical infrastructure for northern Marion County.
yeah, so.
Not just individual residents, the city of Tampa's on it,
Oh, yeah, Ramona.
Ramona.
Well, keep me posted on it, I'll try to find out, I mean, the representative from Manhattan, Kenny Titus, is like the go-to guy on water. He worked for the water office he's a lawyer, and he worked for the water office, and he's a good friend, and so I'll visit with him a little bit about it too.
We have lots of issues, but they always say in the end, it's the water.
If you don't have water, nothing else really matters, does it? Yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah, just going back to the LABTR, we just need to, make sure it isn't so much that we need to spend more here either. We don't need a slush fund either. We need property tax relief for people. Because
I
just
agree.
the COVID stuff, everything, the price of inflation, everything is just hitting everybody. And if we can help the constituents out, that's really what we need to get to. So I mean,
Appreciate that.
we need to make sure that, and it's my hope that we produce a resolution, staff draft, that if and when we receive the LAVTR, and it directs it straight to property taxes. So it's not a slush fund for us, it goes straight to the people that need it.
And that's what hurts the most from other legislators saying that, insulting us locally, that we're just going to blow it.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm hoping that we can approve a resolution that guarantees that we won't. We'll get it right back to them.
I appreciate that. 'Cause I really think, and, for me, district-wide, there's no issue that is bigger than property tax relief. I mean, I talk to people when I'm walking in towns and they're gonna say it. I talk to my farmer friends out in the country and they're gonna say it. I mean, there's just no issue that is as universal as trying to get property tax under control. And I understand it. I just paid my property tax and yeah, that's a pretty good year's living that just goes to property tax. So, yeah, appreciate that, really do. Now, and like I said, I haven't really looked at I saw Vic had something, and I haven't really looked at the proposals that are out there.
Get it to the table and gut and go.
Yeah, that's, you know, I will tell you on this whole process, I think it's funny because they're talking about, well, we're gonna do property tax relief the first week or two of session. Well, we'll see. We'll see. The process doesn't usually work that way.
A really good resource on that subject is the Kansas Association of Counties.
Okay, yeah, and I've got communications with them, yep.
They can give you any information, any resources, any assistance.
Well, I will tell you this, that the rationale and what you guys have shared with me and what other commissioners share with me, I mean, Dickinson County says the same thing. The rationale is absolutely clear and makes sense. I mean, they took that from you when there was an emergency at the state and with the promise that it'd be coming back, and, you know, I'm
Two decades later.
I'm kind of a person, when I make promises, I like to follow through with them. That kind of bothers me, so, yeah.
Well, it answers your main issue, property tax relief.
Yeah. You're welcome. I think it will be this session. Anything else?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys. It's always fun to be down here.
Have a happy new year, my friend.
Well, same to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. I wish you the best, and we'll be in contact.
Sounds great. Call me anytime. Do you guys all have my cards?
I think so.
Anybody need one? I got, that's
Just leave
your,
a couple of them.
your taxpayer dollars at work. They provide me with cards, so. Even,
We don't want to leave you off the hook.
they're even more attractive than our license plates.
Start a new one, huh?
It'll be interesting to see whether we discuss license plates or not. That's been the hottest issue the last 6 months, so.
Kansas Highway
Thank you.
Patrol deal with that one.
Yeah.
Whatever works best for them.
We'll see you guys. Thank you.
All right, Chuck,
Ready.
thank you for coming in.
No problem. I'm gonna need about 5 minutes of executive session for personnel performance.
Okay.
Not
You
much.
want to talk a little bit about contracts first, or updates? No? Okay. Just, and it was personnel performance? Okay, 5 minutes. I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss personnel performance of an individual pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance, with the commission, Brad, Tina, and Chuck for 5 minutes, 102 to 107.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried. We will be back at 107. That's green. We are out of executive session. No decisions made. Isaac, welcome back. You're
Hey.
a regular here lately.
That's right. Go a while without seeing me, and then every week after that.
Maybe it's because of the cold weather all season. We just have to have you in every week.
Okay. So I have the bids for this electrical project. So what I'm gonna give you here, the front page just kind of has a little bit of the information from our bidders and the price, and then second page will be the scope of work, and then the third page is kind of just a drawing of what exactly we have going on there.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, let's do it this way. Excuse me.
Sure about you there.
I'll take care of myself. Bye, though.
Uh-oh.
I'll let you have this one.
Here, I got two more.
Oh, sorry.
this
You
one?
just have, do you have an extra for you?
Yeah, I got the information.
All right, walk us through.
Yeah, so you can tell on the front page there, the numbers are quite different. I'll tell you, speaking with Kansas Electric, they overbuilt their bid, which they're well aware of. He said, talking to his supervisors, that's how they wanted to bid it. The bid from Funk Electric is all covered and is up to code. So the minimum there would have been the 4 200 amp breaker panels that come down. So on Kansas Electric's bid, instead of having 200 amp panel boards, they did 400 amp panel boards. And alongside of that, they were wanting to upgrade our CT cabinet coming from the pole. Besides that, the two bids are exactly the same. That was the main thing, was just the power coming from the transformer. So Evergy came out last week. They have already upgraded our transformer, so that part is done.
Great.
And we're pretty much ready for a contractor to come in and get started. You can tell, so there's 9 double-sided. That would be the pink dot on that map, so you got a box on each side, and then the others are singles. So right now, we just have 30 amp, and then with this will now be 50, 30, and 20 in each box. So there's a total there of 9 double-sided and 13 singles.
They're all the same, only difference is one's double-sided, one's single-sided.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, on the boxes there.
On the
Yep.
boxes, okay.
And Kansas Electric, they're building for the future, or this,
That was kind of his, yeah, well, and like he said, because I mean, talking about some of our issues now, I know, like on a full house, like for Bluegrass in August, when we're completely full, we were having some issues with our main breakers for the campground tripping.
yeah.
And that was, kind of my main concern, was to try to take care of that. I'll tell you right now, we have 3 of those 3 of those 200 amp panel boards. And so this upgrade would put a 4th one in. And Kansas Electric, like he said, that is up to code, but the 400 amp, he said, you just never have to worry about it. And he said that's, because I asked him if he wanted to give me a different bid with the smaller size, and they said no, if they did it, this is how they would want to do it. So it would just pretty much be double the power there. Do I think that is necessary? I mean, I don't think so. Would it be nice? Yeah, but that's really the only difference there.
You do it right the first time, you don't have to go back.
Yeah, I mean, I think in talking to,
Yeah, that's right. It's just, I don't know how soon you're gonna grow out of what you're planning.
Well, it's an upgrade that could be made later.
It is,
When the growth does take place.
yeah, it is.
You're looking at another
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much double the cost.
Double the
Yeah,
cost.
yeah.
We need to make all these improvements. Everything needs to be. And what's your, so, other than the one pole up here, basically,
Yes.
everything's going underground?
Yes. From that pole, everything will be underground.
And then
The transformer, because we did discuss possibly moving the transformer, and Evergy was pretty much, they convinced us not to do it. One, because of the time to get material.
Wow.
Yeah, and the cost of it. And we've never, I mean, so the transformer will be up on the pole, it'll run down to the base of that pole, everything from there throughout the campground will all be underground.
But Funk will still have a CT cabinet, right?
Yes, correct. It just would not have to be upgraded to what it would have to be with
So
the
they'll have-
800 amps.
Funk would have 4 200 amp outdoor panels instead of 4 400 amp, the way I'm reading.
That is 100%. Yeah, that is correct, John.
And will they still have an 800 amp CT cabinet, or will they?
No.
They won't. No. So how are they going to meter that?
So the existing one that is on the pole now they said is fine without having to upgrade the CT that's on the pole now.
So it's overhead CTs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if Evergy's okay with that, then
Yeah,
Is it fine or is it good?
it's fine. It's, it's,
You can get by. Well,
yeah, no, the only thing is, we still got people around here that could still dually function. The way Evergy's moving though, is, they have meter maids, and then they have linemen. And so if anything ever goes wrong, it's harder to coordinate both of them, because it's kind of built in a union mentality. They can't do their job and they can't do theirs. So you bring that CT cabinet down, and then that's their point. And then it's kind of disconnected from, if the transformers blow, it won't affect the CT cabinet. But the CT's up in the air, it might. And now you've got to get both of them coordinated and back out. That's the bonus to having the CT cabinet.
My question is we do this, and let's go back to your statement about the summertime and electrics blowing out on a hot day. What, are we improving that any or not with this?
We would be,
Okay.
yes, we would be, and that was kind of like $1 million question that we had, because, and I know like all the existing pedestals that we had, if you take it all the way down to the pedestal, we had, a lot of corrosion inside there when we opened those up. They're all still original. And then, like he talked about, we don't know the lines that run to those pedestals. I'm guessing they're not in conduit. I don't know that, but that was a whole nother discussion that we had, which both of these would then put them in conduit underground. But if some of that stuff is going bad, Evergy did say that our transformer that we had before, which has blown, that was replaced, I think, in 2019 or 20 at the Bluegrass Festival. It actually
Okay, when it
popped.
Well, okay.
And they put a new one in. It wasn't, the size was not bigger. And so there was a lot of things that were discussed about what exactly our issues were back there. And like they said, getting just new stuff in the ground would probably fix. And that's what they said. If we had upgraded pedestals and all that stuff with what we have existing now, they didn't think that we'd have close to the problems that we do have. But, I guess as far as what you're saying, I don't, for sure. I don't know, yeah.
Okay,
And
that's fair answer.
and the other thing about it is now is a lot of, those pedestals are 30 amp, and a lot of those campers coming in there are 50 amp campers that are reducing down to 30 amp, and that's also causing a lot of problems. And so with the new pedestals and the lines going to them made to handle 50, I think that will take care of the majority of it. But once again, I guess until we run it, it's hard to say. And I do know that that was another part of the reason why Kansas decided to do that, because he said, if we did this, you're definitely not going to have to worry about it. But
So what do you got in the budget to do?
50,000.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, that comes out just right. One hookup and it would have been over. That looks to me about $15.63 per hookup. So. Other questions? If not, is there a motion?
Discussion is, I don't know, I've seen it too, back 5 years ago or more. The trailers was always there when the full hot summer day and he was having a program or something happening. And so this might be the first step, but we probably got some more to do with trailer, mobile homes and stuff like that. So.
And I know that would be probably my next big project is there, and Elcon helped us with it when that fire happened. Is there's, I think, 6 remaining trailers out there that still have overhead power, where all the other ones have been done underground. So that would be the next I mean, project that would need to get completed is get that last corner on the underground with a pedestal instead of overhead. Which I have not even started looking at yet, but
Next.
it is something that needs to be done.
All right, cool.
Good. Okay, other questions or discussion? Is there a motion to move forward?
So move.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Becker to accept the bid from Funk Electric Company in the amount of $48,448.10 to do the Marion County campground electrical upgrade as outlined. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Or was it Crowfoot? Dalkey?
Just waiting to see if
Back and forth.
No,
Okay, Commissioner Gearing beat you all both to it because
I'm
you're
not sure.
discussing it. So motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Gearing. Discussion. I think it's a good project, gonna be a good benefit. And
Be sure that this will be more than needed.
you can do it. And we appreciate both companies for bidding. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0. That'll be a very, very good for safety and for consistency.
When can they start?
So the plan is as soon as possible. So, and on the specs, just so.
Parts available?
Huh?
Are parts available?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it sounds like that, as of now, I know that was kind of a big discussion that we had when
Well,
we
yesterday,
we
huh?
were seeking bids. Yeah, sounds like everything will be able to get in, and done before May 1st of this year, so.
So we'll need to do a sales tax project exemption for them, and we'll need their current proof of insurance.
And I do have that I can get to you, but yeah, the sales tax thing we'll need to do.
Are you tearing out the old wiring or just leaving it in the ground?
Well, if we can find it, that's the other thing, is where exactly it's at in the ground. But yeah, the plan is to get it all out of there and just put new back in.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was supposed to be scheduled to do my department update, and I'm not 100% done, but I did want to ask the commission if you guys would like me to come back with all of our end of year for the bait shop and utilities and revenue and things like that. I've been working on it this morning. I'm not 100% done. I do know the bait shop, our total expenses, we ended up making about $4,000 in profit this year. So
Those were on the plus side.
yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, if you guys would like me to, I can come back with all that paperwork and we can go through all of that. And we can do that next week if you'd like, but.
That's what we need to have you come back again.
Perfect.
I don't know what we're gonna do the next week, but we'll come up with something.
And then, we did finalize our, lease agreement. So that new one is gonna be going out, here today.
Good.
And yeah, I think, that was all I had today, unless you guys had any questions for me.
A lot of progress and. Okay, any other questions for Isaac? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank
See
you.
next week. Hey, Brad, I know you have to leave. Did you have anything else you wanted to update the?
Not today, I will have for next week, but
Okay. All right, we've got 5 minutes for administrative. Tina, if you have anything?
Actually, I really don't have anything. Next week we'll have
A lot?
quite a bit, because it'll be the reorganizational meeting, and really the only thing I would have had would have been minutes, and I didn't have time to get those ready between Friday and today, so.
Let's say we had Friday from 3 until this morning.
And Friday afternoon ended up being pretty busy for me.
So, all right.
Did you want to do an executive session for personnel prior to your employment interview?
Okay.
Or do you have, so the board can discuss?
Yes, that's a good idea. Why don't we do that? We got 5 minutes. That'd work out just right. I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss, personnel interview.
It's personnel discussion.
don't know.
I would put it, maybe as hiring, personnel hiring.
Personnel hiring, that's item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with commission. Brad, are you gonna say?
I can, just do it 5 minutes.
5 minutes, and Tina for 5 minutes from 1:25 to 1:30. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Back at 1:30.
Who was the second? Sorry.
Gehring.
I'm sorry, how long?
5 minutes.
It'll be short. But then we'll go into a half an hour one.
Okay.
Okay, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss employment interview pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with Commission, Tina, and the candidate for 30 minutes. That would be from 1:31 to 2:01.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0, back at 2:01. Sergeant of Arms. Counselor.
You've done made it?
No.
Okay.
All right, everything is on.
Okay, we are out of executive session, no decisions made, but we would like to continue the interview. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss employment interview pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance of an individual with the commission, Tina, the candidate, for 30 minutes from 2:02 to 2:32.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 2:32.
Okay, you're on.
Green lights. We are out of executive session, no decisions made. Don't believe there's any more executive sessions for today. I did have the one issue that I wanted to add for discussion for today. I was very excited about the news about asphalt on the 290th project last week. With that many asphalt plants in close proximity, in my mind, what went through my mind is what other projects can we do next year? Well, this year.
Yeah, this year.
Which is an incredibly short timeline. One that is causing a lot of grief in my territory is road east of Tampa, 330th, from Limestone to Quail Creek, where we've had the base failure. 3 years ago, it was rebuilt, chip sealed, single layer. The next year, there was probably 2 weeks road and bridge time spent blade patching. This year, there was 2 weeks of road patching and another 2 weeks of base repair. There's just so much heavy traffic on that, if that could be asphalt. So what I'm asking is just permission to come up with some options with funding for next week on a couple different things to throw out. I think there's some local funding that would help with that road. Another opportunity would be the KDOT Economic Development, which has no application. You can apply anytime. And since that's on Santa Fe Trail, the Santa Fe Trail route, you got the Lost Springs stop, Tampa Noon spot, moving on. That being a connection from Council Grove to Cottonwood Crossing, to me, could tie into economic development, because currently tour buses can't use that route. It's just too rough. So then if you would expand it to 340th from Highway 77 to Quail Creek, and then Quail Creek to Limestone, you're looking at about 10.5 miles. The Tampa stretch would probably have to be a heavier asphalt overlay. The Lost Springs could maybe be a lighter one. I'm just throwing it out. If I could bring together some options and numbers.
We're talking about some local money.
Yes. Yes, I think Tampa Community Foundation would put in $100,000. I'm asking for permission to gather numbers, costs, where we're at on our capital improvement, just to review. My issue is that 330th between Tampa and Quail Creek, we've got to do something. I think we've got our base repaired. The chip seal's just not going to hold it.
Right.
It didn't even last a year on it.
Chip seal is it?
Boy,
That's what you do in a little tiny community.
Nope.
You don't do that on a
If we
major
have
route.
regular through traffic, but that one
we
is,
don't have very many opportunities to get the kind of bids we're gonna get, being we're gonna have, what he said, 3 asphalt plants in Marion County.
my hope would be with the economic development, that's,
I wish bonding was an option, but I'm afraid that,
not
I'm
this
afraid
week.
the rates right now on bonding are gonna be
no.
probably up in that,
We seized that
at least 5
opportunity.
to 6%.
We seized that opportunity when it came.
We did
That's
perfect
Well,
time.
that one worked, yeah, that one worked, but
No,
I think each one of us in our district would probably come up with a couple of roads that we'd say, oh my gosh.
yes. And I agree with every district. This one, what I'm saying is if we have an opportunity for cost share that covers half the cost. Because I don't see that on any of the other two
Right.
roads. And what I would love to do is push the next phase of the 290th, but there's just no way that's gonna get approved in time for action this year. What I see is the base on that stretch being ready for this summer. All we'd be looking at is overlay. But those are questions that I need to get answered before next week. Before I pursue it, I just want permission to bring information.
Of course.
Look at it, yeah. Will we do anything going past the wind farm, south of the Marion?
I think that's microsurface.
Microsurface from 140th south?
What I would do is get an update on the microsurface routes also, so commissioners have it. We need that anyway.
We need to make sure that that Nighthawk gets covered too.
Yes.
Because that's the same as your 330th. And if it doesn't get a cap on it.
We got microsurface this year,
Okay.
but the base on it held.
I haven't been down that road in a minute.
Have you guys been south of Marion here? Pretty damn rough.
The microsurface will go
With
on.
the patching they did,
Yeah.
microsurface is not gonna do it.
No, it's not gonna smooth it out.
Is our engineer oversee
think?
that microsurfacing at all?
No, it's a 3/4 inch overlay basically in a simple sense. It doesn't have enough room to knock out.
It
Level
made
up.
quite a difference on Remington.
Yeah.
I mean, Remington.
If it was
Rough.
level, if it was semi-level.
That's better.
Remington was rough.
Better.
That's night and day. But we're not gonna be able to get any grant funding on Sunflower.
I don't know, do we need to look at more public funding projects together? I mean, I don't know if there's any other areas in the county that would have public funding.
Yeah,
I mean, private funding, we would take care of the public funding and then
Yes.
somebody steps in with 100,000.
Yeah.
My thought on this is, if you're gonna go out and do the legwork for your area, go do it.
I was bringing information.
If you wanna do it for your area, go do it.
And in my case, it's, everything in my district's always had to have cost share.
No. Go. Yeah. There's no sense in.
'Cause I would have a,
If there's a private funding source anywhere in the county, then we need to leverage it if we can.
Yeah.
and the only reason I throw in the next stretch is if we can do economic development, Santa Fe Trail, well then, why not go for the 2 million project, 1 million from the state? So then we can get 10.5 miles costing the county 1 million instead of 2. If we don't get the funding from the state, then
Be nice if you could add 290th going west of Durham for 2.9 miles
yes,
on the Santa Fe Trail.
yes. But that one we might be able to
Somebody lives
do.
out
I
there?
think you need to abstain from that discussion.
But it still comes,
I'm not saying anything, am I?
Well,
Suggestion.
I mean, I can just think of, we've got,
Yeah, Randy.
we've got some down there, but I'm saying, one road that we've torn up, and I think we need to get back to, and he's very often comments online, Jerry Mendoza, but I mean, that's the only road that we've done tore up, and I think the base is, and I haven't drove it in the last 90 days.
It's gonna leave there for 3 or 4 years.
Well, I don't think you're gonna leave it, you don't need to leave it 3 or 4 years, but
We're gonna leave it for the first year. We were gonna try to look at budget following years.
yeah, and, I mean, that's the kind of
I think
thing
that's one we have to look at every year because we were trying to develop a base there.
yeah.
And I think it's a good base. I really
It's too
think
wide.
it's not always a bad thing, because when you go to put a surface on top, you want the shoulders, so that when your trailer swings, you don't wanna be pulled off in the ditch.
And I don't know, Jonah, I haven't been over 120th all the way and 150th. I mean, we've not touched some of these other blacktops in a while, and so.
And the whole north end, other than Blade Patch.
120th and 150th.
Which is all over the county.
150th is still holding up, but a microsurface would change its world.
That would do a lot for that
It
one.
might be on the list.
And 120th probably use a little more than a microsurface. They could probably use a minimum overlay.
Well, I'm just trying to look at our big picture, not just your area, but everybody's area.
Well, and again, the reason I'm focusing on that is because if I can find economic development, we can get significant dollars brought into the county and still get the project this year. But the other ones, if that doesn't happen, then we need to be taking advantage of these price opportunities. If that's okay, I'll talk to Steve about it.
I wish we would know a year in advance how many asphalt plants. We had no idea. We thought maybe we might have one.
Right,
We did not know we were gonna have 3,
right.
which makes a huge difference when it comes to the bidding process.
Yep.
The way I always look at these, I know we're talking about a lot of dollars on everything we ever look at, right? But I think back on how long Randy or Kent's been here. If you could have pulled the trigger on some of these roads back when you first got started,
Oh, yeah,
wouldn't you look like a genius today?
absolutely.
What do you think that trend's gonna continue to do? It's going to be the same thing. If I pull the trigger today, I'm gonna get 8 out tomorrow. 3 years from now, I'm gonna be like, why didn't you do more? That is exactly the way this world works. So if we can afford it, we need to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and it's a difference of how you run your money. I mean, we wanted the money in the bank before we borrowed some. Because we had a road and a transfer station to pay for through these years. And that's something that, get those paid and put some money in the bank. And when Kent come in, 3/30th was terrible.
This
Well,
is,
we were led to sleep for years having 2% inflation. And I guess forever we thought we were gonna have 2% inflation.
and I'm not saying anything wrong with any of what you guys did. I mean, you set us up for a nice, as far as reserve, to not be sweating like some of these other communities where they can't figure out where they're gonna get money from. But I'm just saying, I'm just thinking, looking back, triggers that could have been pulled, how much cheaper it was then.
I think the single rule is you can overlay anything for a little while and it'll last you 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years maybe. But if you don't have a base underneath of it, you don't have nothing. And so things with the base is.
That's why that indigo, you and I might have disagreed with our engineer, but I'm pretty sure we made the right call.
Yeah, and then to rebuild Nighthawk, well, we gotta keep it too. I mean, that's one of the things, but that's 3/30th, the same thing. I mean, that you got a base up there. And I don't know where the base fell apart in the one area. Nobody knows that, I don't
It was
know.
the middle 2 miles. My theory is there wasn't enough aggregate there. There was all just chip seal.
Yeah.
It never had, where Nighthawk at least it had years.
If we overlaid that, of course, we don't have any road people here, was that gonna take a minimum of 3 inches?
That's gonna be the questions I'll ask and bring back next week. In fact, I'd hope to have either Darren or Steve
What did Tampa get going west? Is that
was
6?
back- You guys did that. That was a.
Is that a 6-inch overlay?
Tampa west,
That was,
from the highway,
that was before my time, but I think it was a 6-inch.
6 inches. 6 inches what we did.
Good.
We had it rebuilt by the county boys first, and it was already rebuilt.
Yes.
And we asked them to come out and drill it and everything, and they found that that base was good. And we went ahead and just laid 6 inches over it. And that was, for 4 miles, it was.
That's
10
been a
million,
while.
12 million.
No, well, it was
You
less.
thought that was overkill, but it really wasn't.
It was 2 years of the county budget for road and bridge.
It was
It was a huge investment.
yeah, 10, yeah.
Yeah. But that
But-
road is absolutely,
That's before you, Kent, like you said, before you, and
I remember when they did it, because they did it at Thanksgiving.
I wanna say
It was one of those years that they
13 or
could.
14?
And they did it.
Has it been 10 years now? Yeah, probably.
it's held up. And then, anyway, Mike, I guess I'm coming back to try to answer those questions, bring that information for next week. And also ask Steve if in addition to the microsurface, what other priorities he would put for overlay? Would that, in other parts of the county?
Tina, you gonna have some numbers for us? For budget for anything we wanna do, right?
Go find the money.
I'll narrow down that request for Tina.
I just thought of that.
Capital improvement, we've got some starting numbers, because we didn't spend the full amount on microsurface last year. We did not spend the money on 290th last year, so it'll be in this year. And then we have the income for this year. But again, the reason I'm focusing on that one is the possibility of grant funding that could be obtained for this year. If I can get that answer. If not, then it changes the picture.
Well, that's one we need to be continually applying for, though.
Right.
It's open year round.
Well, and I contend that we still reapply on 290th, but that
Right.
won't take place until 2025. Okay, if that's okay, I'm gonna get the information for next week.
And any money that you can save, come up with, money that can also, you can
goes across.
save to use somewhere else. That's how you get your
And I come back to
Quality across the county.
a point you've made many times is we spend so much time blade patching, those guys are not out taking care of their sections. Well, there was over a month spent on that one stretch of road.
Yeah, no, that right there justifies a lot.
I mean, that
Keep them out on the gravel roads instead of spending a month on that one.
patch.
How are we gonna handle private donations and it'd be designated for a road from A to Z, I think? What I don't know, Tina, that's,
Just plug it in to a coffer as a line item.
There's a way of doing it.
Road sign.
no, you don't get your name on the road.
No, there's no name on the road.
Yeah, but there's an organization that's wanting to put some money into a road, why,
If they're
I don't wanna turn it down.
And again, part of that theory is it enhances the ability of getting a grant. A grant or no grant, they're willing to put in the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
you can pay more than your taxes. I've actually heard that. It's true. You can do it.
Yes.
So there's not a problem with receiving the money. It's how you do earmark it for what they want.
All right, anything else for today? Well, it's incoming, not going out. And if not, then our next meeting is Monday, January 8th at 12:30. And I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We are adjourned.
You got us down for 10 o'clock Friday, Tina?
Just one second.